going on, Warriors? It's Guru Joe, and I'm back in my basement today. It's actually Saturday, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging on the Kali instructional video this week. So I'm going to do a tutorial on how to clean up your essential double stick. So what do I mean by that is everybody has common patterns in Kali, right? Like everybody has a downward X. A lot of people have a downward X 4 count. So maybe it's forehand, backhand, maybe it's forehand, forehand into a cruzada position and backhand like that. So again, forehand and backhand with each hand, forehand, forehand, backhand. Some people have what's called a closed 4. So you start on a closed position known as serrata, forehand, backhand, forehand. So I'm always dominating, coming back to the right side, and everybody pretty much has Sinawali, which is known as Heaven 6. Sometimes if you do it high and low, some people call this one Standard 6, and you have Earth 6, which is all to the leg here this way. So the Heaven 6 has it with tick in it or a broken strike. So lop tick, which is follow through, lop tick, and then with tick. And I'm covering these really quickly because there's one discrepancy that I see out here among most systems, and I was guilty of it too coming up until a good mentor of mine gave me the details. And if you watch people and you see them tuck this really far behind their body, or they put this over their shoulder this way, you do not want to copy that form. That leaves you really open, leaves you vulnerable. It creates a sluggishness to it, and it's just honestly unneeded. See, if I'm here, imagine we're doing boxing, right? Is there a time in boxing where I should tell you we're going to throw a jab cross, and when we jab, I put the right hand right behind my head? In fact, let's just do that just for a minute here real quick, just to illustrate the point further. So think about any combination. Let's take a simple one like ABC, jab, cross, hook, right? So jab, cross, hook. My chin is going to be down, my shoulder is going to cover my jaw, I'm going to have proper body mechanics with the hips, and I'm going to try my best not to make any extraneous additional movement that's unnecessary. Like I wouldn't throw a jab and a cross and a hook. No one would ever look at that and think that it was educated. So let's say it's cross, jab, hook. Let's say it's jab, hook, cross. Doesn't matter what the combination is. Could be jab, cross to the body hook. Just using those 3 punches, the structure never changes. Doesn't matter what the target is, the elevation, none of that matters. The order, the structure should always be sound where you have a solid guard position. And when we look at Kali, we need to look at it in the same exact way. So let's go back to the Heaven 6 as a prime example. So when I'm here, if my elbow flares out and my hand goes behind my back before I deliver this motion, you'll notice the arm precedes the weapon on the way to the target. That means as soon as I do this, it's just like putting my hand behind my back for a wild haymaker. I'm completely vulnerable, completely exposed and open. So the price of generating a little bit more power over your shoulder is that you're not going to come up and fare well against a good practitioner who knows what they're doing, and maybe even somebody on the street just ends up getting lucky. Okay, so how do we want to deliver it is right here, just from my chin, just like it would in boxing. My hand is going to go forward and down. So one thing I always tell my students is my hand comes towards the center, but it's well below my solar plexus. So you can see here, my hand is almost at waist level, but if I hit the heavy bag here, that's the tip of my own chin. And that brings me to the next point that I want to make. Not only does my arm precede the motion when I do this, but there's a tendency for people to put their hand in line with the target. So you can see now I'm still hitting the head, but my hand is just as high as the weapon is. That means if somebody else is swinging at me, they are going to clip me in the arm. So I want my hand out of the line of the target, and I want it to come down and make this almost a cute V here in the center. So I'm going to go forehand, backhand with tick, and back to the guard position. Forehand, backhand with tick, lop tick, backhand with tick here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, let's go into one other detail here on this position here. When this backhand comes out, I do not put this over my shoulder like this. You'll notice this bottom hand is not tucking in this way too. I'm never gonna put my arms next to me as tight as they could possibly be. So when you go here, forehand down, hand below the solar plexus, arriving on center line, weapon arrives ahead of the hand. When I backhand, I'm gonna put this over my tricep. One is that can start to block some vital targets. And two, it goes in line with the same principle. I'm not gonna throw like a right and go way out of town over here where I have no recovery option. So when you actually take this swing, this hand is in front of the body. You can see the handle here, the puño, is ahead of my other weapon. So that when I'm here, I still have something in the way, some kind of coverage, and it can come back out if I need to use it. But that's a great spot to index. Is just right over the tricep here in all these positions. So forehand, when I backhand here, we'll do it from the side. Forehand, backhand. It comes right to the tricep. Now when I backhand this one, they've got to trade places tightly, and this comes to a forward guard position here. And that's probably the number one thing people struggle with in the beginning is they hit their own weapon this way. But I should be able to create almost like a scissoring effect here. I'm trying to slow it down just so you can see it. Okay, you also notice I'm training in a really short ceiling. This is probably 8 feet, I think, maybe lower. And it's got to be lower if I can touch it, 6 feet. Okay, so when you're here, I don't want this to go up and over to the target either. I just want it to go straight forward this way. Okay, if we do heaven and earth or standard 6, it's the same exact thing. This goes from my face or from the closed position directly to the target without a lot of swing, but the bottom hand stays in front of me too. Earth 6, doesn't matter. See, I'm still making that tricep connection, and now I'm just aiming down toward the leg or the knee. Okay, so any combination we could take. Icus, forehand, backhand. You can see the solar plexus thought coming on here, this concept. My weapon precedes the hand to the target. It makes an acute V. Even if I hit all the way through, it's still on those lines. If I go forehand, forehand, backhand, backhand, it is the same thing because it's not so much just the arm doing the work, right? Particularly on this one. What's happening here is my hips are turning, and that's what gives velocity to the weapon regardless of where it's at. It's not so much in the arm, especially coming outside the shoulder, over the top, putting it behind you. Those are all things that you want to eliminate to clean up any double stick drill that you have. Everybody has Sinawali, but not everybody has the intention behind the combination to have correct form and strategy. And trust me, if you start to have this kind of funnel idea where everything is tight, you're still gonna have plenty of power, but you're not gonna be as open as you might have been, especially if you spar. It's one thing to do solo training on the beach or whatever, but when you have a partner and there's a timing element, everything's gotta tighten up. And that's why I think we don't see this in Western boxing, because in boxing we spar all the time. So it's always proven under a testing ground. But sometimes with the collie, it's like, oh man, I feel pretty cool out here. I'm just hitting wherever. Everything's really wide because we don't have the feedback of a partner going, yeah, you know, if you do that, I am just gonna like enter and you're gonna be sorry. All right, so a couple quick drills you can play on your own, just to review. So I did the downward X. So that can be an acute V. It could be an actual X where I follow through. It could be short and then long. This is what we call the Y principle. Short, long, short, long. It could be long and then short. So one is a strike through the angle, a lop tick, and one is a wood tick. Lop tick, wood tick. That's it. Okay. Then I did forehand to backhand. So forehand and forehand into a cruzada position just means my arms are crossed. Could be left over right or right over left, depends on which one you start with. And then backhand, backhand. So if I start with my right, the left's gonna be on top. And it doesn't really matter because you're just gonna hit afterwards anyway. But you should go left, right also. So you do it forward and reverse. Close 4 is the first combination in double stick that's not open that I usually teach my students. So there's no wood tick involved. It's forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, ending in the serrata position. Forehand, backhand. Slow, forehand, backhand, backhand. And you can see, even though it's short, it still has the principle of coming to the tricep and keeping those guard positions, keeping the narrow V going on. Okay, then Heaven 6 is just all upstairs, 6 motions. So usually we break it into 3s when we're starting out. So forehand, loptic, backhand, loptic, backhand, wittic. So forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand. Okay, standard 6 or Heaven and Earth is forehand high, backhand to the knee, backhand to the head. Forehand, backhand, backhand. It's the same structure. If you get Heaven 6 down, you should be able to get Heaven and Earth 6 down. And obviously you could do it with any kind of footwork, changing directions, whatever you want to do. And then low, forehand, backhand, backhand. Forehand, backhand, backhand. So a lot of people on this one is a good one to watch, because on the low 6, you'll see people take the arm out and come up with an uppercut. No problem. You could definitely uppercut the thing. That's not a big deal. But again, I don't want to have to move in order to hit the strike or hit the target. So a lot of times what I do is I drop my hand down, and right at the end I go palm up. So if I am working with a partner, I'm going to be able to meet them on the target. But I'm usually a little bit quicker because I'm going just from my shoulder to the kneecap down instead of going low to come up this way. The backhand, because it's already low, that usually has no problem traveling upward, and this one will hit down as well. You can see it has kind of a diagonal line to it. But the first motion, I usually hit like that. Both are good. I've seen both. I just don't want to make like a loop all the time like that, unless it's preceded by another strike, like a backhand, and then up would be good too, right? So there's a bunch of combinations for you that you can use. You can implement them. But the bigger thing, you can come up with combinations on your own. But what I never discovered on my own without being shown the detail is where these guard positions are and where the value is in how to deliver the motion. And it's just like I said a minute ago, good boxing mechanics. You could go into any boxing gym, and it could be a community center, and they might have Olympic athletes there. Or you could go somewhere in a strip mall where you're paying top dollar for lessons, and they could be a worlds apart, right? If you don't know what to look for, you're gonna think like, oh man, these guys are really good, they tear me up, but maybe their elbows are really flared, they never cover center, they don't have good structure at all, and you might fall into that trap of practicing that until you're proficient at it. So why bother? Just practice something that's gonna make you universally sound in other areas too. And just question it, you know, like, all right, I have a good Thai boxing position. This is, my chin is down, I have a good guard structure. That should be a part of anything else you study. If you take French Savate or Kali or whatever you're gonna do, there's gotta be a method that has clean delivery as well. So be careful out there. Watch people for those red flags where they're like swinging like sledgehammers, that kind of thing. In my experience, I've trained with a lot of the Filipino quote-unquote masters. I haven't seen that from any one of them. So just be careful what you pick up. And I watch everything like you guys probably do too. I'll watch and explore on YouTube all day, but you got to be a little careful of like what you take if you're uninitiated. If you have 10 years, 20 years experience, you're probably going to be like, oh man, I like this guy's, you know, whatever. I like this disarm he's doing, but I'm not so sure about the rest of it. You got to look at the total picture of quality. So this looks really unassuming. It doesn't look like a very big deal at all. But if you get this motion down where you go from your shoulder to the center like this, man, it will completely change your game. 100%. Change mine for sure. And it's a big thanks to the people that I train with, like Dana DeSano and Chris Clark and many, many others. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Sorry to get long-winded on the talking. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. If you haven't yet, please take a minute to like and subscribe to the channel. We put out videos all the time, at least 3 a week, and sometimes more than that. And we cover a variety of subject matter from Kali and Escrima, Arnis, JKD, Savate, Muay Thai, MMA, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and all that good stuff. So we'll be here. We'll be back on Monday. We're going to add in a JKD series that was requested over on the Reddits. I think his username is JKD Kali Silat, actually. He was looking for a particular defense series, how to counter the jab cross, and so forth. So we're gonna build those out over the next couple weeks, starting with the 1-2 series on Monday. All right, you guys, really appreciate you. Warriors,